Yeah, so there's quite a few videos making these boxes like this that open out and close again, and a lot of them are sort of. I saw one. I thought I'll try and make one, and I found it actually really hard, and a lot of the videos don't tell you. I don't think they don't tell you the real things you need to know. So I thought I'd make a video just to show you why I got it to work when I got. This is like my third go. So I'm going to take this off the top. Now, when I first made it, I kind of did it the same way as you do in the video. So I just made the boxes. I put the lid on. I hammered nails through. It just wouldn't turn. It would sort of jam. It was sort of half turn. And part of it was because I wasn't quite sure where the nails went, and I wasn't quite. So I was sort of nailing through either here or here into the boxes. I wasn't sure which part of the box needed to have the nail in it, and whether the nail needed to spin in. They use nails, not screws. Why? I don't know. So I'm just going to go through it so that it's all clear, okay? Because that's what I needed to see. So first of all, the boxes, you need to do the groove. I did it 6mm out. The line was 6mm in from the end, a centimetre from here, and I can't. This is 8 centimetres. But the key thing is that the groove is in a straight line on the same side as the pin. So that's where the nail would be coming through. But I ended up using pins because I saw. I'll show you. There's some links in the description of the guy that really helped me. So using a pin is much more likely to work because you can put it in exactly the right place. So 6mm in from the corner. And I also, the first 2 times I built it, I just drilled by hand like these guys do in the videos, whereas this guy used a drill press. Use a drill press because you need everything to be as friction free as possible for this to actually work. So that's the key thing, is that the groove is on the same side as the pin or the nail. The groove is on the same side as the pin or the nail. And when you'll turn the lid clockwise, this will do this. So the pin actually goes in towards the center and it rotates the box out. So it took me a while to work that out. So the pin or the nail goes in towards the center of the box, and it rotates the groove out and round. And the length of the groove will basically just decide how far out the box comes before it starts spinning. So once it hits the end of the groove, it will spin like this. Now I'm using a pin as well down here, and I did it. So what I did was I actually sort of measured it based on where the grooves were, and because I had cut the corner. So before I explain that, you've got to cut the corners off in the middle to allow the central spindle some space. And I did it so many times, I've actually cut the corners off 3 times because I redid it and had various goes. So because I cut the corner off the outside corner, which you don't need to do, I made this groove a centimetre from the edge so that I didn't risk. And that's why the pin is in a centimetre from the edge, because it needs to sit in the end of the groove. And it's 6mm in from the sides. So that means I can just put the box on the pin on the bottom and it just all the boxes kind of sit there. And then I measured, for doing these holes for these pins, I measured it. I didn't. Sorry, I looked where the pins were and I marked it. So I took a bit of time in actually making sure the holes were in the right place. Now this bit probably was important. So several of the videos, they just have a dowel here, but I've got a bearing. It's like a metal bearing, and I cut this bit off the central spindle off an old lathe tool handle, and I put it into my lathe, and I made it so now the reason I think if it's a bit wider, it gives it a little bit of stability, so that the lid's not wobbling as much this way. But so once I've got all these things in place, I can put my boxes in. Obviously, I have to put them in the right way in. So, and I also numbered my boxes so that, because some of these pins positions were slightly different and the boxes very slightly different. So I needed to be sure that I was putting everything back in exactly the right place. Find some sawdust. So that's what. Yeah, I just think for it to really work, you need to. I think if you're making perfect boxes, they're absolutely exactly the same size, then it's not an issue. If everything's exactly the same size and your pins are all in exactly the same place, then that's 2 over there. It's not an issue, but that's not the case for my boxes. There's a little bit of variation, and in particular, things like in my drill press, the drill sort of kind of just went slightly off direction on a couple of the holes. So it's not 100% exactly the same. So that's why numbering the boxes and so I've got a number on here. So this goes on one way. So that way. And that means to get it to sit, I've got to line up all the pins with the holes. And now it sits on there, and you can see that it opens up in a pleasing way. But it's not perfect. So, it doesn't close completely. It's slightly. So this is my 3rd go. But at least it does that, which is like the kind of thing you want it to do. And now I put this threaded rod in the top and holding it on with a nut. And if you have it too tight, obviously it will stop the top from spinning. This is attaching it to the central post, which is in a bearing, which should spin. But I find that if that's too tight, I think it's possibly pressing down on the. So, but that works pretty well, and it's got a certain amount of stability. Now, what I did for mine is because it's from my great niece. I made a sort of locking. thing on the top, so it's a secret box. So you need to make sure I get this right. And then okay, so it's this one. It's a bit of a puzzle as well, so to get it to fit. And if you tighten it up, it won't open anymore, is the idea. And then these bits fit in, and now you can't open the box. Well, you need to tighten it more. So anyway, that's the idea. So I found when it wasn't working, it was because I wasn't working precisely enough. I wasn't using the drill press to get really vertical holes. I wasn't being consistent about where each box was and where each hole was. And I didn't use the bearing in the central rotating post. So I found that when I did all of those things, suddenly it started working. But I think you have to work at a level that's more precise. So if you're doing it in a rush and you're trying to just hand drill things, and I wasn't quite sure where to, from the TikTok videos, I wasn't quite, in fact there's one TikTok video where he drills a hole in the wrong box. He drills a hole here and puts a nail in here, and then later on you can see that he's moved it to here because he put it in the wrong bit. But he doesn't explain that. He shows the video of himself drilling a hole and nailing in the wrong bit, and that wouldn't have opened first time. So my guess is that all these guys that do the thing and then they open it first, it's not first time. They've probably spent days between assembling it and then the moment when they open it like that. So yeah, definitely persevere, because I think you learn a lot. This has made me realize that I can do it, but I have to raise my standards and not do it in a rush. And yeah, it's great. It's a great challenge. I hope that's helpful.